Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about the last topic of this chapter, that is excretion. Now, we have already discussed how organisms get rid of gaseous waste generated during photosynthesis or respiration. So, other metabolic activities generate nitrogenous materials which need to be removed, and the process involved in the removal of these harmful metabolic waste from the body is called excretion. Now, under normal condition, the living cells of the organism, that is both plants and animals, work all the time in order to sustain life of the organism, and most of the work is done in the form of biochemical reaction. Okay, so some of the example of these reactions are like synthesis of protein, then fats, carbohydrates, or the hormones, or the breakdown of glucose, and many other catabolic and anabolic reaction. So during these biochemical reactions, some metabolites are produced which may be toxic if accumulated in the cell. Then water and salt content of the body may increase or decrease. Okay, so there are two most important homeostatic process which is occurring inside the living organism which helps to maintain the steady state. One is excretion. So excretion is a biological process by which an organism get rid of excess or toxic waste produced by metabolism. Okay, here it is written, a biological process of elimination of harmful metabolic waste products from the body of an organism, and the organs associated with process of excretion are called excretory organs. Okay, so the excretory system is a system of organs and tissues that take part in separation, collection, and elimination of all these products. So, elimination of waste products maintains a favorable internal environment of the body. Now, the second most important homeostatic process is osmoregulation. Okay, here it is written osmoregulation. Now, what is osmoregulation? It is the process that maintains the amount of water and proper ionic balance in the body fluids. Okay, so there is a difference between the excretion and osmoregulation. Okay, now excretion is the removal of the toxic waste from the body. Okay, and this osmoregulation is maintenance of the osmotic balance of the body fluid, that is the elimination of water and excess salts from the body. Okay, now what is the importance of this excretion and osmoregulation? Now, both excretion and osmoregulation go on side by side and they have the following functions. Okay, now first one is removal of unwanted metabolic byproducts. Okay, so excretion removes the unwanted byproducts of metabolic pathway which can hinder the chemical equilibrium of the reaction which is occurring inside the body of an organism, and there are many metabolism occurring inside the body. Okay, like metabolism of carbohydrates and fats which produces carbon dioxide and water, and similarly protein metabolism also produces nitrogenous waste in the cells and tissue which are to be removed. Okay, then is removal of the toxic waste. Okay, so excretion removes many toxic chemical substances which can damage the cell. Okay, or it can affect the metabolic activities of the organism. Here it is written, accumulation of excretory products such as nitrogenous waste, carbon dioxide, pigments formed by the breakdown of hemoglobin or the drugs is harmful to the body, so these toxic waste are to be removed. Then osmoregulation of the body. Now osmoregulation regulates the ionic concentration of the body fluid. Okay, how? By controlling the amount of water and salts in the body. Okay, and this is very, very important because the proper balancing of ions is necessary for enzyme activity, protein synthesis, production of the hormones, okay, and many other metabolic activities. Okay, here it is written, it helps maintaining constant ionic concentration of body fluid as well as regulating water content of the body. Okay, next is regulation of body pH. Okay, so excretion is very important process in regulating the pH of the body fluid. Okay, next is thermoregulation. Now, excretion also helps to maintain a constant body temperature. Okay, kindly note it down in your notes copy. Now, the mode of the excretion is different in different organism. Okay, so different animals have different arrangements or the organs of excretion which depend upon the constitution of the animals. For example, in amoeba, like single celled animals, the waste material, that is the carbon dioxide, is removed by diffusion through the cell membrane. Okay, but the nitrogenous waste like ammonia and excess water are removed by contractile vacuole. Okay, means this contractile vacuole helps in osmoregulation and it removes the excess of the water that enters the body continuously. Now, many multicellular organisms have specialized organs, okay, which perform the function of the excretion. So some organism with their excretory organs are like planaria, excretory organ is flame cells. Then in earthworm, excretory organ is nephridia. Means in earthworm, the excretion and the osmoregulation occurs through the tubular structure which constitute nephridia. Okay, then the insects or the centipedes or the millipedes have malphizian tubules for excretion. Here I have written cockroach. Okay, so animal usually have a definite excretory organ which through which they eliminate waste products and the water. And the molluscs and the vertebrates have kidney for excretion and osmoregulation. Okay, so like this in human beings, means the urinary system of human being consists of a pair of kidneys having nephron. Okay, now excretion in human beings. Human excretory system, okay, consists of a pair of kidney, a pair of ureter, a urinary bladder and a urethra. Okay, so the excretory system of human beings uh, collects the liquid waste of the body and helps it to get rid of them. Okay, now the function of the kidney is to remove the poisonous substances, that is urea and other waste salts and excess water from the blood and excrete them in the form of yellowish liquid that is called urine. Okay, here is two kidney, then a pair of the ureter. Okay, so the ureter or the excretory tubes, one from each of the kidney. So here are the two kidneys. Okay, that is one pair, left kidney and the right kidney. Okay, so from here arises a ureter from each kidney, then it opens into a urinary bladder, and the ureter are the tubes which carry urine from the kidney to the bladder. Then urine is stored in the urinary bladder and the urine is collected in the bladder which is passed out from the body through the urethra. Okay, so here we see that human excretory system consists of a pair of kidney. Here are left kidney and the right kidney. Okay, and then there are excretory tubes, that is a ureter. Okay, and then urinary bladder and urethra. Now here you can see renal artery and then you can see renal vein. Okay, now renal artery and renal vein. Renal artery supplies blood which is rich in nitrogenous waste. oxygen and nutrients. Okay, that means renal artery, here you can see this one, renal artery brings in oxygenated blood laden with waste products. Okay, and then renal vein, it carries purified deoxygenated blood to the inferior vena cava and then to the heart. That means renal vein carries away deoxygenated but purified blood from the kidneys. Okay, then it is taken to the inferior vena cava and then to the heart. Okay, now kidneys, that is the main excretory organ. Okay, now kidney are bean shaped reddish brown structure located on the either side of the backbone towards the back of lower part of abdominal cavity. Okay, so human beings have a pair of bean shaped reddish brown structure which lie in the lower abdomen on the either side, okay, of the vertebral column. Okay, now kidney removes nitrogenous waste and excess of water from the blood. Okay, now left kidney is slightly larger and placed a little higher than the right kidney. Now why it is so? It is so to accommodate the liver there. Okay, that means the right kidney is slightly lower in position as compared to the left kidney to adjust itself in the abdominal cavity, and this is because through the position of the liver. Okay, now the kidney have an inner concave structure. That okay, here you can see this is the concave structure. So at the center there is a notch called hilum through which the blood vessels and nerves enter the organs. Okay, so it has a fissure or the hilum through which renal artery and nerve enters and the renal vein or the ureter comes out. Now inside the kidney there are two zones. The outer is cortex and the inner zone is medulla. Here you can see the outer one is cortex and the inner one is medulla. Okay, now urine produced in the kidney passes through the ureter into the urinary bladder where it is stored until it is released through the urethra. Okay, that means from here urine is produced and it passes through the ureter into the urinary bladder where it is stored until it is released through the urethra. Okay, now blood is carried by the renal artery to the kidney and the renal vein carries purified blood from the kidney. Here again you can see this renal vein and renal artery, and please students remember this, it is very important to note down the difference between these two. Okay, because many a times it is written in your book renal vein purifies or carries purified blood. That means it will carry deoxygenated blood but purified blood from the kidney. Okay, and renal artery will carry oxygenated blood, but that blood will be with nitrogenous waste products. Okay, now each ureter, here you can see this one, each ureter is a tubular structure which arises from the kidney and opens into the urinary bladder, and this carries the urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. Now this urinary bladder is the thick muscular bag situated at the lower part of the abdomen, okay, which receives urine from the kidney through the ureter. Now this stores this urine until it becomes full, and then urinary bladder opens out through the urethra. Okay, now urethra is the opening of the urinary bladder which passes urine to the outside of the body. Okay, now what are the functions of the kidney? So you can note down the same function which was given in the earlier slide, that is the importance of the excretion or the excretory system. Now here we will see elimination of nitrogenous waste. That means this kidney eliminates the nitrogenous waste or the metabolic waste from the body. Okay, and it also removes excess water from the body, that is it helps in osmoregulation also. Okay, so you can note down removing excess water from the body and nitrogenous waste from blood in the form of urine. Then reabsorption of nutrients. Okay, whatever the useful substance have to be reabsorbed from the tubular part of the kidney, that has to be absorbed by the kidney. Okay, again, understood? Means whatever the useful substances are there in the tubular part of the kidney, that has to be reabsorbed by the nephron, that is a part of the, that is the unit of the kidney. Okay, and reabsorption occurs, then it gives back to the blood. Okay, now next is maintaining pH of the blood. Okay, so it also maintains the pH of the blood. Then water balance, that is it regulates the blood volume of the body through control of fluid loss in urine. Okay, then regulating blood pressure, that is it helps in regulating blood pressure in the body. Means it also helps in salt balance of the body and then pH of the body fluid. So kindly note it down whatever was written in the importance of the excretion. Okay, now next is nephron. Now what is a nephron? Each kidney is formed of a large number of nephrons on urinary ferrous tubules, and these are the basic filtration unit. Okay, that means nephrons are the microscopic structural and functional unit of kidney. So each kidney consists of millions of nephrons which play a significant role in the filtration and purification of blood. Okay, so nephron helps to filter the blood and form urine. Okay, and each kidney is made up of uh, thousands and thousands of tiny tubules which are called nephron. Okay, so important point that nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. Okay, now next is nephron consists of, here you can see it consists of two parts. One is the renal corpuscles and next is the renal tubule. Now renal corpuscles is also called Malpighian body, which is Bowman's capsule and glomerulus. Okay, and renal tubule is proximal convoluted tubule. Here you can see it is written here PCT, and then Henle's loop, this one, the yellow one. Okay, and the distal convoluted tubule, that is the DCT, this one. Now this is a kidney and here is a nephron, and these are the parts: glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, tubule and the collecting duct. Okay, so nephron, that means each nephron is differentiated into two parts. One is renal corpuscles or Malpighian body and the other one is renal tubule. Okay, now in the figure you can see, and please note down this diagram in your notes copy. It is very important. I have written here also, because whenever a question comes, describe the structure of a nephron or describe the functional unit of kidney or what are the various parts of nephron and their functions, diagrammatically explain, then you can draw this figure. Okay, and here the arrow represents the flowchart of the urine formation. Okay, so that this diagram can also be made there. Okay, so here you can see this is the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. Both forms a renal capsule, and then this part is the tubular part of the nephron. So the tubular part of the nephron consists of proximal convoluted tubule, Henle's loop, and DCT, that is distal convoluted tubule. Now this one, branch of the renal artery goes into the this one glomerulus. Okay, it forms this and then it comes out, that is renal artery is coming out. Okay, so this one is the afferent arteriole. Okay, and this one is the efferent arteriole which is coming out. Okay, which carries away. So and then all along the Henle's loop, these are the peritubular capillaries. Okay, all these, and then they again join to form join the branch of the renal vein which will join to the inferior vena cava. Okay, now we will deal one by one. Renal corpuscles or Malpighian body. Okay, now a renal corpuscle consists of a glomerulus surrounded by Bowman's capsule. Here you can see. Okay, this is the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so it is a cup shaped structure which is double walled. Okay, and forms the beginning of the nephron. So this is the beginning of the nephron and this is called a Bowman's capsule. Okay, so the proximal part, that is nearer, a part of the each nephron is form of a double walled hollow cup known as Bowman's capsule. Okay, and then it contains, here you can see, it contains a bundle of blood capillaries which is called glomerulus. Okay, so this cavity has a tuft of blood capillaries which is called glomerulus. Okay, so afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. Okay, so the capillaries in the glomerulus are formed by the branching of afferent arterioles, that is which carries towards. Okay, and efferent arteriole that is carrying away from it. Okay, I hope this one is clear to you, afferent and efferent. Now the diameter of the efferent arteriole, here you can see in the figure, is different, that is smaller than that of the afferent arteriole which maintains a high blood pressure in the glomerulus. Okay, now the function of the glomerulus is to filter the blood passing through it. So the blood entering into the glomerulus through this, okay, the blood entering into the glomerulus carries waste materials which are filtered out into the Bowman's capsule. Okay, and this filtration is because the walls of the glomerular capillaries and the Bowman's capsule are very thin and they are selectively permeable. Okay, understood? Then after this, the fluid containing the waste material is forced out of the glomerular capillaries in the Bowman's capsule. Okay, then this Bowman's capsule leads into a tubular structure into which the filtrate moves away. Now we will see the tubular structure. Okay, so these are the tubular structure, that is the proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule and the Henle's loop. Now renal tubules. So the remaining tubular part of the nephron consists of three parts, that is proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle and then distal convoluted tubule. Okay, so glomerulus is followed by the tubular part of nephron which is coiled at some places and can be differentiated into, that is PCT, DCT and Henle's loop. Okay, now the coiled part which is nearer to the Bowman's capsule is called proximal convoluted tubule, that is the first part. Okay, due to its proximity to the glomerulus and it is a coiled tube. Then the second part, here you can see, it is a U-shaped and has parallel limbs, that is descending one and the ascending one. Okay, so this one is the descending and this one is the ascending one. Okay, here it is written, and then after this U-shaped, it has two straight parallel limbs and it is called loop of Henle's. Okay, so next is the distal convoluted tubule. So DCT is the twisted tube and it is far away from the Bowman's capsule, that is it is a distance. Okay, that's why it is called distal convoluted tubule, and this distal convoluted tubule then opens into the collecting duct. Here you can see it is written collecting duct. Okay, and this collecting duct is a large tube where urine is collected. Okay, so the furthermost part of the renal tubule is the distal tubule. Okay, this finally opens into the part of the ureter, and here you can see this one. All parts of the renal tubules are covered with the network of the, okay, that is the network of the blood capillaries, that is called peritubular capillaries. Okay, here it is written loop of Henle, that is with peritubular capillaries. Okay, I hope this is clear to you all. Then again, one end of the glomerulus is attached to the renal artery, which brings dirty blood, okay, containing waste, and it is oxygenated then into the kidney. Okay, and then after this, the kidney, okay, after all this filtration process, renal vein, okay, after this filtration process, here you can see renal vein will carry the pure blood from the kidney, and it is the deoxygenated one. Okay, so the other end of the glomerulus comes out of the Bowman's capsule and forms the capillary network. Okay, here you can see capillary network along the tubular structure of the nephron. Okay, and this is called peritubular capillaries. Okay, so these capillaries are tiny blood vessels which travel alongside the tubular structure of nephron, and it helps in absorption and secretion of the substances between blood and this tubular part of the nephron. Okay, now the major function of tubules is reabsorption and secretion, which helps in the urine formation. Okay, now urine formation, how it is formed, we will see. In fact, we will learn how it is formed. Now, I hope now you are very familiar with this figure. Okay, so first of all, either the question comes how the urine is formed, okay, or what are the process in the formation of the urine. Okay, so please write this answer. Okay, so first of all, you can write it in a flowchart manner also. Okay, so how will you go, how will you write? So let's start. Now nephron helps to filter the blood and forms urine. So its tubular part helps in reabsorption of many important substances and forms urine containing urea as the major nitrogenous waste. Okay, so in the formation of the urine, the first process is ultrafiltration. Okay, now this ultrafiltration takes place in the Bowman's capsule. Okay, now blood enters the glomerulus here through the afferent arteriole, and then it passes under pressure that results in the filtration of the blood. Okay, so blood flows inside the glomerular capillaries under pressure, and water with dissolved molecules from blood plasma diffuses out into the lumen of the Bowman's capsule under pressure. Okay, so as a result of ultrafiltration, all the substances dissolved in blood plasma are filtered out, and these includes both harmful as well as the useful substances. Okay, understood? So the large molecules remain in the blood of the glomerulus. Okay, and the filtered liquid is known as the nephric filter or glomerular filtrate. Okay, So from the afferent arteriole, okay, under high pressure, blood enters the glomerulus and travel into the tube. Now, due to this, many of the substances dissolved in the blood are filtered out, but the larger molecules remain in the blood of the glomerulus. Okay, and the filtrate contains glucose, amino acids, salts, major amounts of the water. Okay, understood? So the function of the glomerulus is to filter the blood passing through it, and remember that only the small molecules of the substance present in the blood like glucose, ammonia, acids, salts and water passes through the glomerulus and collects as a filtrate in the Bowman's capsule. Okay, and the larger molecules like proteins and blood cells cannot pass through the glomerulus capillaries, and hence they remain behind in the blood. Okay, now next is the tubular reabsorption or the selective reabsorption. Okay, now the function of the tubule of the nephron is to allow the selective reabsorption of the useful substances. Okay, but the waste material like the urea remains behind in the tubule and it does not get reabsorbed into blood capillaries. Okay, so what will happen? When blood passes through the tubular part of the nephron, some molecules, okay, here you can see this is the tubular part. So some of the molecules are selectively reabsorbed into the blood. Okay, so here you can see the filtrate is flowing and some of the useful substance are then reabsorbed into the blood, and this is the capillary network, that is the peritubular capillaries. Okay, so the useful substance such as glucose, amino acid and most of the water are reabsorbed in the blood capillaries surrounding the tubular network of the nephron, and this is called as tubular reabsorption or selective reabsorption. Okay, understood? That some, again I am repeating, you can note it down. Some molecules are selectively reabsorbed into the blood. The glomerular filtrate flows through the proximal convoluted tubule, then the Henle's loop and distal convoluted tubule. So the useful substances such as glucose, amino acid and salts which require energy are reabsorbed by the process called selective reabsorption, and hence the filtrate now contains urea, some salts and water. Okay, now this reabsorption of the solute increases the water concentration of the filtrate. Okay, now next is tubular secretion. So after the tubular reabsorption, okay, next is the tubular secretion. So what will happen? Some of the nitrogenous waste products and the certain harmful substances which are not required by the body are removed from the blood capillary into the tubular part of the nephron. Okay, understood? So these nitrogenous waste products like keratinine and some other substances like potassium ion are removed from the blood by the tubular part of the kidney. Okay, and the urine thus formed is collected in the urinary bladder. Okay, so this is the flow chart of the urine formation, or there are the three processes, that is the ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption and tubular secretion. Okay, now here I have written it the same thing, but you have to note it down in a flowchart manner. Okay, how will you write it? So first you will write the formation of the urine or urine formation. Okay, so first process is ultrafiltration. So what you will write? Filtrate product is called urine and it is formed in the body by the following process. Write all the three processes. First is ultrafiltration and it occurs in the glomerulus under high pressure, forcing many of the substances which are dissolved in the blood into the Bowman's capsule. Okay, then the blood then passes through the tubular part of the nephron. Here you can see. Okay, passes through the tubular part of the nephron where useful substances, okay, useful substances such as glucose, amino acid, salts and major amount of water are selectively reabsorbed. Okay, so here it is written reabsorbed in blood here, and urea are not reabsorbed. Okay, so ultrafiltration takes place through the glomerular capillaries and Bowman's capsule. Okay, blood entering into this passes under high pressure. Okay, and the filtrate contain large amount of water, glucose, amino acids, urea, electrolytes. Okay, and these are known as the nephric filter. Okay, now see the arrow here. Okay, it is going here, and this arrow represent again. Okay, that means again it is reabsorbed into the blood. These are the blood capillaries. So whatever the substances is flowing, and if it is useful for the body, then again it is reabsorbed. So as the filtrate passes through the renal tubule, useful substances including water, glucose and amino acids are selectively reabsorbed from the filtrate back into the blood. Okay, now tubular secretion. So as the urine will pass through this tubule, some ions, okay, from here it is passing, see the arrow. So some ions such as potassium ion, okay, or ammonium, and molecules like medicines and drugs, and then keratin, okay, these from the blood are actively secreted into the urine, and it is called tubular secretion. Okay, understood? That means only the waste substances, that is urea, some unwanted salts and excess water remain behind in the tubule. Okay, and the liquid left behind in the tubule of the nephron is urine. Okay, now the nephron carries this urine into the collecting duct of the kidney, from where it is carried to the ureter. Okay, here it is written some waters, some salts and all urea form urine. Okay, now then urine is stored in the bladder for some time, and ultimately it is passed out of the body through the urethra. Okay, now I think it is very easy now. Okay, after here this is the collecting duct. So the collecting duct collects the urine from distal convoluted tubule. Okay, and the urine now contains urea, uric acid, ammonium salts. Okay, understood? Next, how the urine is removed from the, okay, how the urine is removed from the body. So urine is removed from the body by the following process, that is, the urine formed in each kidney enters a long tube called the ureter, which connects the kidney with the urinary bladder. Then urine is stored in the urinary bladder until the pressure of the bladder leads to the urge to pass it out through the urethra. Okay, understood? Now what is urine? Now, urine is a liquid byproduct, okay, of metabolism in humans and in many other animals. Okay, urination results in the urine being excreted from the body through the urethra. Okay, now urine is a clear, transparent fluid that normally has an amber color. Okay, that means the normal urine color ranges from pale yellow to deep amber, and this is due to the pigment known as urochrome. Okay, the result of a pigment called urochrome, and how diluted or concentrated the urine is. Okay, because the pigments and the other compounds present in certain foods and medication can change your urine color. Okay, now remember that the amount of the water that is reabsorbed in the body depends upon how much excess water is present in the body and on the amount of dissolved waste to be excreted. Okay, remember this thing. Okay, now only 1.5 to 2 liter is excreted as urine. Okay, and the remaining part, that is the remaining liters of the fluid, is reabsorbed into the blood by the kidney tubules. Okay, means out of 170 liter of fluid filtered by kidney every day, okay, only 1.5 to 2 liter is excreted as urine, and the rest fluid is reabsorbed into the blood by the kidney tubules. Okay, now next important point is urea is removed from the human body by ultrafiltration process in the kidney tubule, and it is excreted out as urine. Okay, now the amount of the urine formed depends upon how much excess water is produced in the body and how much of the dissolved waste to be excreted. Now, more water and dissolved waste in the body will produce more urine. On the other hand, less water and less dissolved waste will produce less urine. Okay, now I hope this is clear to you all. Okay, now next is hemodialysis. Okay, now what artificial kidney or hemodialysis, what are this, or what is the process of this? Now sometimes what happen that kidney may stop working. Okay, an infection in the kidney or an injury to the kidney, okay, or very high blood pressure or very high blood sugar or restricted blood flow to the kidney can damage the kidney, due to which they stop working. Okay, so complete failure of the kidney allows the urea and other waste products to build up in the blood. Okay, now even the amount of the water is not regulated in the body. Okay, so this will cause the death of the patient, and if it is not given immediate treatment. Okay, so kidney are the vital organs of the survival. So there are several factors like infections, injury, or restricted blood flow to the kidney which reduces the activity of the kidney. Okay, and then hence there will be accumulation of poisonous waste in the body which can even lead to death. Okay, so the best long term solution for kidney failure is the kidney transplant. Okay, so the damaged kidney is removed and a matching kidney donated by a healthy person is transplanted in the place by a surgical operation. Okay, and if a kidney transplant is not possible due to some reason, then the patient with kidney failure is treated periodically on a kidney machine, okay, by a procedure called dialysis. Okay, this is because a kidney machine can do the work of a damaged kidney. Okay, and this kidney machine is sometimes called the artificial kidney. So an artificial kidney is a device to remove nitrogenous waste products from the blood through the process of dialysis. Okay, so it is a device, okay, used to remove nitrogenous based product from the blood through dialysis. Okay, now here you can see it contains a number of the tubes with a semi permeable lining suspended in a tank with dialysing fluid. Okay, now this fluid has the same osmotic pressure as the blood except that it is devoid of nitrogenous waste. Now the patient blood is passed through these tubes, here you can see. Okay, now during this passage the waste products from the blood passes into the dialysing fluid by the diffusion. The purified blood, okay, now the purified blood is pumped back into the patient from here, then again to the patient, and this is the similar to the function of the kidney, but it is different since there is no reabsorption involved. Okay, so understood that the dialysis unit allows the blood to run along one side of the membrane and dialysing fluid in opposite direction. Okay, so this is generally done to maintain the concentration gradient between the patient's blood and the dialysis fluid. Okay, so now difference between the artificial kidney and the natural kidney is just that the process of the reabsorption does not occur in artificial kidney. Okay, now next is excretion in plants. So like human beings and other organisms, plants also excrete out various waste products during their life process, and these waste products are excreted by plants in completely different forms than those of the animals. Okay, like there are gaseous waste products, there are liquid waste products, and there are solid waste products. Okay, so here you see plants lack a well developed excretory system like that in animals, and they do not have special organs for excretion. So many waste products are stored in vacuoles, and some waste products are stored at resins and gums in old xylem. Okay, so plant excrete some waste material into the soil around them. Okay, so plant releases gaseous waste such as carbon dioxide produced during respiration at night and oxygen produced during photosynthesis at daytime through stomata on leaves and lenticels found on stem. Okay, next, uh, then it also produces liquid waste products. Okay, means plant also get rid of excess water produced as a waste during respiration by the process of okay transpiration. Here you can see excess of water is also excreted from the plant body through the stomatal pore and from the surface of fruits and stem through transpiration. Okay, now some species of the plants exude water through stomata while others through hydatodes. Okay, now guttation is the phenomenon of dropwise exudation of xylem sap from leaf tips of some vascular plants, also occur through hydatodes. Okay, now plant also store waste substances in old xylem as resins and gums. This is important. Now, gums are the degradation products of internal plant tissue, that is, it is mostly cellulose, while resins are formed as a oxidation product of various essential oils. Now, you don't have to know the process, just know this much, that gums are the degradation products of the internal plant tissues, while resins are formed as the oxidation product of various essential oils. Okay, now next is the gums, oils, latex, resins, some waste products stored in the plant parts like bark, stems and leaves. Okay, now rubber plant is the common example of the plant which exude latex as an excretory product. Plants also excrete out some essential oils like sandalwood oil or clove oil as excretory products. Okay, next is what solid waste products. Okay, so some plants store waste substances in the cellular vacuoles and in tissue with dead cell, that is in heartwood, and waste products may also be stored within leaves and barks. Okay, which fall off or get rid by the plants. So plants also excrete some solid waste substances into the soil around them. Okay, now there are some useful plant waste also, like okay, like plants like oak store their excretory products as tannins in their trunk, which is used in the treatment of leather. Then essential oils are excreted by plants, okay, which are used in various household okay. Okay, then gums from plants are widely used to make adhesive. Then resins are used to make varnishes and glazing agents, and natural rubber is used as raw materials in tire industry. Okay, so we saw that plants use completely different strategies for excretion than those of the animals. Okay, and oxygen itself can be thought as a waste product which is generated during photosynthesis. Okay, and for other waste, plant use the fact that many of their tissue consist of the dead cell, and that they can even lose some parts such as leaves. Okay, and waste products may be stored in the leaves and leaves that fall off. Okay, and other waste products are stored in the stored as resins and gums, especially in old xylem. This is very very important. Okay, and plants also excrete some waste substances into the soil around them. Okay, so this by this we've finished this first chapter, that is life process. So write the assignment in your notes copy. Okay, write down the notes also in your notes copy. Read NCRT. Okay, then keep learning, and all the best. Okay, so that's all for today, students. All the best.